This is Celebrate at 19 Hawthorne, the podcast, where we explore the creative process of planning your wedding. Hi, welcome back. I'm Chad from 19 Hawthorne. This
I'm
is
April.
This is April.
That's my name. April Spencer from Spencer's Sugar Shop.
We're off to a great start. And this is Jen. She's with Joyous Occasions and Leaf and Bloom, Fort Jennings, Delphus area, over that way, that side of the county. And Jen has been in this industry for a very long time, doing all the things. So we're going to ask her all the questions about mainly decorating, but just weddings in general, because obviously you're a part of a lot of them. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you, how you got started, how long you've been doing this rodeo, all the fun things.
It's all the fun things, yes. So let's see, how long have I been doing this?
I always love when they have to think.
I know.
Because you know it's a long time.
Forever. Well, yeah, so I have 5 kids. My husband and I were high school sweethearts. We'll be married 35 years in June.
Nice, congrats.
Yeah. And 5 years before that, so long time.
Oh, wow.
Long time. And
you will find him with her decorating every Saturday.
Every weekend.
Yes, everywhere, yeah. And 6 grandkids now, so busy, big family life.
And she's very involved.
Yeah.
Very involved in
Does
the
all the
family.
things.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And so I originally started out, a lot of people don't know it, but I'm actually an RN. I went and got my degree after the 3rd child, I think, before the last 2. And I did that for a while and then kind of realized that I had 5 kids, 9 and under. And it just got to be ridiculous with babysitting and time and whatnot. So I decided to take some time off. And then I got bored. And so I started decorating and painting and the house and stuff. And so Dale come home from work one day and said, "Can you go do this somewhere else? Because I never know what color the bathroom is going to be when I come home from work." And I said, "That's a great idea."
Yeah.
So I was like, I could do that and work around the kids' schedules and do whatever.
And you have both sides of the brain, like the RN brain and the creative brain. She's like Ethan, another one of those.
Yeah. So I actually went down to a class in Kentucky and learned faux finishing and color coordinating and things like that, and started a business and did that for quite a few years. And then one day I realized my daughter was starting kindergarten, and I'm like, now what do I do?
Right.
So I thought, well, I'll go back to the hospital for a little while. And I was there for 7 years, maybe something like that. And I ended up in hospice, and I was taking care of a fellow colleague that was dying. And that was probably the toughest, you know, when you think, ew, I don't know that I like this anymore.
Yeah. Like, this could be me.
Yeah.
Makes you think about things a little different.
And I was driving home, and it's like 7 a.m, and I'm calling the kids and trying to make sure they're awake and get your sister ready for the bus and all this. And I got off the phone with the kids, and I kind of looked up at this guy and said, "You know what, God, if I'm supposed to be doing this, just let me know this. I will drop, thinking about doing something different, and, that's fine. Just give me a sign." And so then that was on a Friday, Saturday. Our friends were over, and we were playing cards, and she said, "You know what, we should have just done 10 years ago. We should have just, when you were painting, we should have started a wedding business. We should have just done it." But there was this business called Joyous Occasions, and she was very well known, and she'd been in business for like 15, 16 years, and I thought, I can't compete with her. It'll be impossible to, get started and whatnot. And I said, I should just get a hold of Joy someday and say, if you guys ever want to retire, I would like first chance to, see if I would want to take it over. And that was it, dropped it. And Monday morning I got up and opened Facebook, and there was an ad on Facebook from Joy Hayes saying that she and her sister-in-law decided to sell the business. And I said, if that isn't a sign from God, I don't know what it is. Because I had just, kind of asked for it. And so, my husband's like, "I'm not going to be able to talk you out of this, am I?" And I said, no, that's a pretty good sign. And that was like 14 years ago, I think, or something like that. And the rest is kind of history. And
been decorating ever since.
Yeah. And I don't think we've done anything less than 80 events since we bought it a year.
Crazy. I have to speak on you and your husband, because you guys come in, and obviously we see lots of people in the wedding industry, and it is always a lot of times like a family event. And the way that you and your husband work with each other is really phenomenal.
Fantastic.
It's phenomenal.
So great.
There is no bickering. There is no it's like they're the same person in two bodies getting things done.
She trained him very
It is
well.
pretty scary.
It really is, and I've always been impressed. And I remember you were one of my very first big weddings, that geode cake, and you at UNOH you did the whole backdrop. That was one of my first cool weddings, and just the process that you guys do, and just watching you guys work, and watching the fleet of 10 people come in and set up and then come back at the end of the night and tear down. But you guys just get along so cool, and I think that's just such a crazy cool
and
thing.
it's funny because I feel like we crab at each other sometimes and he knows how my brain works, which is it's scary because there's a lot goes on in here, and it is hard to keep track of it myself. And a lot of time, but I guess I don't always convey exactly what I think. Everybody should know what I'm saying,
right?
And
because we know what we mean, but somebody else,
I see the vision of it, but not everybody can. So most of the time he's better at it than he realizes. He just doesn't want to, But you'll hear me say a lot of times, make up my mind. What am I doing? Because he'll be like, well, don't you want to do that? And I'm like, okay, make up my mind. What am I doing?
Yeah, no, he figures it out.
Right.
He crawls in there. And it's amazing.
He's a better decorator than he cares to admit. But he does come up with designs
and solutions. And he is a taskmaster when it comes to figuring out a solution.
Yeah, and it's the great part about it is I come up with the vision and the design, and then I hand the paper to him and say, can you do this? And he'll say, I can do whatever you want. And I'm like, okay, well, then you do it.
Do it.
And then he's figuring out how to hang draping from fireplaces.
Later on, then he's like, why did I say that? Because what did I get myself into? Or my favorite comment from him is, don't put that on Facebook because everybody's going to want this now, and I don't want to do it again. And I'm like, sorry. So thank God he's not afraid of heights, because we get him in some pretty crazy spots.
So there's also now a new phase, not only just Joyous Occasions decorating, but you also now have a flower shop. So tell us about that as well.
So that's another one of those coincidental signs. So 2022, a lot of my brides started asking, do you do fresh flowers? Do you do bouquets? It'd be so much easier if you could just do everything. And I'm like the 20th girl to ask me that.
Because you did do faux flowers.
I did,
very beautiful,
Silk,
realistic, gorgeous faux flowers.
you.
And that was in your decorating world. Okay.
Yep. And I had tried to do bouquets in the beginning, but then once we started doing 3 weddings a weekend, 4 weddings a weekend, I had no time to do the bouquets and that, and it was just so stressful. And I'm like, I'm out. I'm not doing this.
Right.
So I left that to the others. But then I started seeing, a lot of requests, can you do the bouquets? Can you do everything? And so I said to Dale, I think we need to look at getting a cooler, a fresh cooler, so we can start carrying and start being able to offer that. And he's like, okay, well, I'll start looking, and he's searching Marketplace and things like that. And Cheryl Stocky, that owned Flowers on 5th and Delphus, is a good friend of ours. And she had just done a wedding. And, sometimes you buy 25 lanterns. What do you do with them afterwards?
Right.
So she would call me every now and then and say, I have a bunch of stuff left over. Do you want to come and see if you want to buy it? And so this time, though, she just kept sending me more stuff, do you think you could use these? And then finally she said, why don't you just come to the store so you can see everything? And I said to Dale, something's up. This is weird, because I said, normally it's just a few things. And I walked in, and she stops and looks at me and says, you ever thought about buying a flower shop? And I said, oh, God, here we go again. And I'm like, are you serious? And she's like, well, I'm thinking about selling. And she says, but I haven't found the right person. And she goes, you walked in, and I just went,
okay.
duh.
Yeah.
She'd be perfect. And so I called Dale and said, okay, she wants to sell the whole store. And he said, absolutely, positively do it. He says, a great idea. He said, look what you did with Joyous Occasions.
Go,
and he said,
husband, go.
Yeah, and he said, you'll have employees, you'll have help now. Someone, people can help us. And he's like, no, I think it's a fantastic idea. And that was almost 3 years ago now. And we're crazy.
Still married.
Still married. Yes. So now he is Mr. Joyous. He pretty much takes over. I hand him a list, and he gets everything ready to go. And I basically do the flower end of it, and then I meet him at wherever we're going Friday morning and set it all up and give the final stamp of approval. But a lot of times, a lot of our venues as well kind of trust us because we've done this for so long and they know us so well, so they let us in early.
Yeah.
So he will go in early, get the big stuff done, the ceilings, the backdrops, those kind of things, and then I will catch up with him on Friday and do the linens and the centerpieces and things like that.
Because that was something that I thought was really interesting when I started doing more weddings with you and we would see each other. I'd be like, how do you do 6 weddings in a weekend? Like, how do you go and decorate? And you're like, well, this one I start on Tuesday, this one I start on Wednesday, this one I start on Thursday. Like, but that does speak the volume of like the respect that you have in the industry and the trust that you have, that like somebody's like, here's a key.
Yeah, we have several keys.
Yeah, go in whenever you want
we have
and
several.
come and get your stuff. And I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's $1 million venue doesn't hand somebody a key for, you know, that's a big.
We don't take that we take that very seriously too, because we try and leave every venue as clean or cleaner than we got there, with the respect of, you know, they let us in here, they let us do this, you know, so we try and I think everybody knows that we have their back and their best interest, and we're watching the place, and we're not just going to let our kids come in there and just destroy the place, you know.
Right. You're not sending just 10 high school kids in there. You guys are with them present to make sure that the whole process is going well.
Yeah, we're very parental on everything. I think it's just natural with all the kids that we have. So yeah.
So let's go all the way back to the beginning of when a bride wants to decide to hire a professional decorator because it's just too much, or they're not creative, or they don't want to do it, or I don't want to drape a ceiling, I don't want to decorate the 15-foot fireplace, I just don't want to do it. How long should they contact you before their wedding? I mean, obviously, it just depends, kind of, but like, what is ideal for them to contact you and get the process started?
So I would say anything more than a year is too much, because you're going to change your mind. You know what I mean? So, or I usually say when you have your bridesmaids' dresses ordered, so you know that is the color, you're not going to change your mind.
Right.
You know, because so that's usually the easiest way to explain it to them, is when the girls' dresses are ordered, we know that dusty blue is the color. Okay, let's sit down and.
I didn't even think about that, because I thought like I would probably be like a year like everybody else, but you only have certain amount of things in certain colors, right? So like.
I can get everything. But
but like that timeline makes a lot more sense with that.
And it just helps a little bit in the design process of like, we know we're going along the lines of blush or burgundy or things like that, because there's some things that just don't look good in, you know, Mother Nature doesn't make a really good, pretty blue flower, and if they want to do, you know, so it's like, okay, well, let's add some accents or things, but it just makes the design a little bit easier. But again, I've done it without it, and I've also had girls change midway through too, and that's fine. I try and stay as flexible as possible, but usually 9 months to a year is the fairly, you know, easier, because I've had girls come 2 years out, 3 years out, and the ones that do are like, I'm starting my master's program, I want to talk to you now, I don't want to have to deal with this for 2 years, I'm not going to be able to look back, those kind of things. So I'm like, that's fine. And we always do a review like 3 months, 4 months before the actual wedding. I'll have them come back in, and then we'll do a final review, and we'll go through everything, and then make solid choices and make sure that this is the, you know, you liked this color, this here. I'll pull samples, do a couple centerpieces, make a mock table setup, make sure everything is what they thought it was going to be.
So they get to see it all before like it's done.
Not
here.
everybody's a visual person, so they like to, when you can touch it, feel it, see it, then they're like, then they take that exhale of, you know, and they're like, okay,
I know what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
So the decorating aspect, from a standpoint of bringing the vision to life, what do you like the bride and groom, mostly usually the bride, to come with and say, like, here's kind of what I want. Here's my vision. I know there's the word Pinterest that scares everyone a little bit.
My best friend and worst enemy.
But like, what do you like them to bring to you when then you take it, you create a recipe for what you're trying to create? Like, what should they bring to you? Is it just like, I like blue and red? Or is it more?
So some girls have been planning this since they were 6 years old and come in with a binder, and they have samples and pictures, and they just flip to each page, and they know what they want. And then there's other girls that come in and say, I have no clue. I just know these are my colors, and I trust you. Do what you want, which those are the best because you're just
the
like,
word trust
yes,
again.
there's no pressure, and I can just do whatever I want. But the ones that are organized are just as easy too because they know what they want, so that works, that goes pretty well with it too. But so a lot of times they'll bring pictures. A lot of them go on my Facebook page and we'll go through and find things and say, I really like this. Can we do this? A lot of them have the Pinterest board. And then there's others, like a color swatch. They'll bring in like a sample of the bridesmaid's dress so we can match, like napkins and that. I don't stress about the napkin color matching perfectly, but it just gives you, something to go off of. But usually, and then as they're kind of giving me their ideas and their vision of what they are looking for, then things just start to like flood my brain, and then I just start sketching and being like, okay, let's do this here, and it would look cool. And a lot of it depends on the venue as well. So like if it's here, I'm like, it would be cool. Let's do this on your ceiling, and let's do this over here on this, and things like that, because we know the venues so well. So then that's where I start to like pull craziness. And
so from a creative standpoint, how do you continue, like where are you finding ideas? Where are you getting your inspiration? How are you staying inspired?
The Pinterest
everywhere.
word.
I know.
The Pinterest word. So that is, and then, the socials are so crazy anymore. So, there's a couple different ones that I follow, and they'll show some different things. And so that kind of helps give you the inspiration and jump off of it. And then from there, then I like try and make it different, but similar, like if they like this certain draping, okay, let's do this, but let's add color, or let's do this here, or, it would be neat, let's do this. And so, yeah, it's hard to explain. I always jokingly say it's a gift. It just kind of floods to you, and you just start to see it.
What about like personally? Like there's obviously you are getting inspired for weddings and decorations, but like when Jen wants to get inspired, how does Jen get inspired? Like where do you go? Do you
just turn your brain off for a second? Like what do you do?
The hardest is when you give me the freedom to like, okay, let's set this up. I have the heart because I have so many ideas in my head. So for me to narrow down a bridal show is more work to me than 5 weddings because I don't have somebody guiding me. So I'm just open to do whatever. So then I'm like, what am I going to like the best? And so, those are the ones that stress me out the most. So
secretly, you like a good theme too.
Yeah, it does help. Mm-hmm.
But I also really think on the ones where you have like creative freedom, it's also that trust again, like we've talked about it, you're going to over deliver because this is now on me. Like it's not that you've said X, Y, and Z goes together and that's what your dream is. You're telling me that you trust me with your dream. And now I've got to deliver on that. Yeah. So like, when a couple comes to you and is like, free reign, here's our budget, this is what we're thinking, you're like,
and it takes a lot of the stress off of you because they're not trying to micromanage or just like it just gives you that creative freedom, so you are more relaxed going in. So ultimately, they do get a better product. Sometimes definitely. I feel because it's I will deliver on everything that I said that you're going to get, but there's just an overall just a little sense of relaxation. But my spiel is always that. This is probably the most important day of your life, aside from childbirth. And I do not take that lightly at all. Neither does Dale. And when we first started doing this, I would go back and just nitpick and it's a floor length linen. Take it to the floor. Don't, it just, everything had to be perfect, which it still does. But, I was just so meticulous about stuff. And Dale finally got to the point where he would be like, okay, are you happy with this, and I'd be standing there looking at something and he's like, fix it now because you're going to make me come back at midnight and fix this because you're not going to be able to sleep, He's like,
let's just do it now.
So then it got to the point where he would say, is it good enough for one of your kids?
Oh.
And I'd say, yes, it is kid ready. And he's like, okay, I know you'll sleep tonight. We can go. And I said, I treat every bride like she's my daughter. And if you were my daughter, is this right? And so, so we will work ourselves to death to make sure that it is perfect.
They do. I've seen it.
And but it's, like I said, like you said, with the trust of it though. And like I said, it's, this is the day that they will look back forever. I can still look back at my own and think, and so I'm like, that's it's our job to make it perfect and as best as we can and keep everybody happy, parents involved. And
Let's
everything.
talk about the myth of like buying and renting. So everyone thinks, hey, I can go on Amazon, buy all of this stuff. It's going to be cheaper and more budget friendly. And then I'll hire my friends and family, volunteer to come out and put it all together. Or I can just hire Joyous Occasions to come and do it.
Yeah.
Now, when you add up dollar for dollar, obviously, there's a cheaper option. But, and that's where I want you to talk about
Right.
the but. A, you have to resell everything. Once you're done, you got to pack it up. Jen has a team of 20, it feels like sometimes, high schoolers at the end of the night that come in and poof, the magic is gone and it's cleaned up, which is, I see parents are just like, oh, thank God.
And you haven't had to touch anything.
I have never heard a parent say, I'm so glad we did all the work.
Yeah.
I've never heard a parent
We've
do
had
that.
this whole day. We've been here 12 hours. I'm so glad we get to clean.
I've heard dads say, why didn't she do everything? And they're like, well, we wanted to do the centerpieces. And he's like, yeah, but she's going home and we're still here.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're still packing. And I've actually felt bad. Sometimes I will have my kids help them pack up, like load the trailer.
You're
Because
so
I'm like,
sweet.
they're going to be here for another hour yet.
Right.
And we're done. But yeah, and we even had like ceilings, backdrops, and they just had centerpieces, and we're done, and they're
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
He's like, "Why didn't she do it all?"
Yeah, well-oiled
And,
machine.
yeah.
And I think back to that, like, you do have systems in place. You do this every weekend. You're a professional. You do multiple weddings. Like,
Yeah.
you're not just coming in with your pickup truck. Like, you have trailers and U-Haul things and vans. And when you come in, it is
Yeah.
full process, and you guys do everything, and you take it away.
Yeah.
And you have enough of just one thing where they might only be able to find one of something.
Right.
Like, that is the difference between renting
Yeah.
and buying.
Well, and a lot of times people think they could do it cheaper, but I'm like, honestly, you're renting to a sense. I don't like have you come and pick it up and take it, but like you're renting it from me. I'm not selling it to you, so I can usually put that centerpiece on your table cheaper than what you're going to go out and buy it for,
Yeah, you're
because I'm
providing a
not charging
service.
you retail. And again, we bring it and then we take it home. And then, these people, some of them will buy it and then you go to try and sell it. And my sister I wasn't doing this when my sister got married, but I did do her wedding, but we had to go out and buy everything. And even going to the chain stores, buying it half off, she still had a fortune in everything and then tried to sell it. And we were garage sailing like $20, $30 vases for 50 cents. And she still wasn't able to get rid of them.
And explain market a little bit and how you are going to a professional market where you're getting wholesale prices with large amounts of things.
Yeah.
So you can provide that service at a cheaper cost.
Right.
So explain that process a little bit.
Like, where you're going out and buying individual cylinders, I probably have 600 different size cylinders at home. that-
Already in stock.
Already in stock. So yeah, and the most like I said, so it's just kind of a package deal of, okay, they need 3 cylinders and then the candles and the votives and everything are around it. And for, X amount of, boom, it's on the table. And then if you want fresh greenery, now we can put we do the greenery around. You can do artificial, you can do fresh now. It's whatever.
And I don't have to mess with it
And
afterwards.
you don't have to.
I don't have to fill the shower in the guest bedroom with the stuff and store it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, let's also talk about the voluntold. Like your
Oh, the
friends, the
voluntold.
voluntold. It is.
Nothing breaks my heart more than when we're setting up and I see a bride so incredibly stressed out. And when they say to me, I just want it over. And
it
that's
hasn't
sad.
even started.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's sad. And so some of our other weddings, not everybody has the, like you guys do, where you're the complete package. You set the tables and chairs up. We do not do that just because it would break my back and his as well.
Right.
So if you are at a venue that does not supply that luxury, people don't realize how nice that is. But if you are at one where you
That's
are
why
responsible,
I hire a 16-year-old to do it.
I know. So some of the venues don't have, so you have to go in and put your tables and chairs up. So that is the most someone has to do if they're at some place that doesn't do that for you. So I will give that, and I will even provide them a floor plan. I will have everything laid out. This is where everything goes to make it as easy as possible. But it is still incredibly stressful because people think, I need to have the entire wedding party there. Everybody needs to come and help us.
Right.
So then you have 6 million people pulling you and all these, and usually by
People are
about
bringing
the
their
first,
kids,
Yeah,
and
usually about the first hour, the bride is like, if one more person says my name, I'm going to go postal.
My
Yeah,
favorite
they
is
just
when the
can't.
linens are all white and then the little boy walks in with his thing of cheese puffs. And you see the bride's face.
Or
just
chocolate donuts. Yep.
freak out.
Yeah. So we tell them, you set your tables and chairs up and then you have to leave. Go. Bye. Go get your fingernails done. Go have breakfast. Go enjoy time with your family. Go get a massage. Do whatever you want. I will call you when we're almost done. You can come back and take a look. Because even if you stay and watch us, it's not near as fun because we do things in layers. And people think just because, the linens, that's layer one. But people think, oh, well, we can help you put the linens out. No. Because I have a certain way.
Get out of my way. Get out.
They're like, we have tons of family. We can help you. And I'm like, you can help, but I charge you more because you're slowing me down and you're in my way. And I don't have time to teach you.
Right. Me and
So
Dale
let
have
us do
this down.
Exactly.
We have this down.
Like,
I know
just
it's in
let
box
us do
1,
it.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. And I like my linens a certain way, and I
Yeah.
pull them down on the end, and I have, when we're doing banquet tables, and we just have a certain way to do it. And, then the napkins, they all have to be a certain seam, has to be a certain way. They all have to be lined up. Everything has to be,
We could talk for a half an hour about seams.
Right. Well, and if you try to, you don't have the time to teach everybody in that room how to fold that napkin and then replace all the ones that they didn't really care about. Because let's be honest, the voluntold don't necessarily care about how that napkin's getting placed.
And even some of them will come back in then when we're done and they're like, we'll put our silverware out. And the silverware becomes chaotic because you've got someone over here doing forks and they ran out. So they're yelling at someone, we need forks, but then they move on. So people don't know that fork wasn't done. So then you've got over here doing knives. And I'm like, okay, I don't mean to sound like, but have everybody do this in a pattern and everybody needs to follow and you need to, don't move.
It's the process of learning.
It's just little things.
Yeah,
that
you
don't.
know because you are a professional and you do this
and
all the time.
it's so much easier if you just let us do all of that and then come back in and it's like poof, it's done. And it's
magically,
magic.
now it's your wedding.
It's magic.
And you want it, there is something magical about a wedding, and that is one of the things. And you want it to be magical.
Yeah.
Like when you're there
Right.
ripping apart things and taking things apart and folding things and it's not magical then.
No.
It just
You're
becomes
not
a
relaxing.
task.
Yeah, you're not relaxing getting your hair done and you've spent a lot of money with those other vendors and it should be a relaxing experience for you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't turn into that. It doesn't it's
and I
not
always tell
relaxing.
girls too at the end of the night, don't watch us tear things down because it's sad. You know what I mean? When it is, such a great day. And my best friend, when her son got married, she said, "Oh my God, it is so sad." And I said, "I told you, don't watch."
Or when we're
coming down.
throwing the flowers in
Yes.
the dumpster. And people are there
It
beside
does
the
break my
dumpster
heart. It
crying.
breaks my heart.
Yeah, it is painful sometimes, but so.
So tell us a little bit about staying relevant. Obviously, just the way trends happen, decorating trends happen. One year you're doing a whole bunch of baby's breath and ball jars. The next year you're doing all roses. The next year, those things come and go.
Yeah.
And it can be daunting because you're like, okay, when I was 6 years old, this is what I wanted and it's my dream wedding.
Yeah.
Right.
But some of the stuff potentially you can't get anymore if you found it when you were 6 years old.
Yeah.
But also the process changes, the
Yeah.
things change, the trends change. You want to feel relevant.
Yeah.
How do you stay up on all that? Is there this is the 90s version of our building, this is the 80s version of our building? This is, how do you do that? Are you selling things? Where do you store all of this stuff?
You know what? So a wise man once told me when we bought the business and we were bringing all the inventory from Joyous to ours, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to keep these. We'll never use these. Gold. Nobody's using gold anymore." And my father-in-law said, "Just hold on. It'll circle back around." And within a year or two, gold came back. And so I was like, dang it, he was right. So now we don't really get a lot. We don't get rid of hardly anything because it always, it's just like 80s, 90s stuff. It comes back around. So we have a 60 by 80 building, which used to house my husband's farm equipment. And it now holds Joyous Occasions.
I bet he loves that.
Yes,
Dale.
I owe him a building. He tells me that all the time. You owe me a building. I'm like, yes, I do. So we have multiple rows. It is like a warehouse. There's shelving 20 feet high, probably. I probably have that wrong, but it's probably higher than that even. He scares me to death. And we even have a hallway of doom, and it's just all glass. We always say if there's an earthquake and it comes down, somebody's going to die because there's so much glass. It's just vases upon vases upon vases. And we just have them all categorized so we know. And right now, the trend is not a big vase in the center. Everybody wants the stands that you can see through. That's the big thing, is we don't like being blocked. We don't like we want to be able to see you know, and I'm like, that's fine. That's your choice. And so, yeah, a lot of our glass is got a lot of dust on it right now because we just do not do the big glass vases in the center right now.
But it'll be back in 2 years.
I was going to say, I give it 3.5.
It'll come back. So yeah, waste not one, you know.
I honestly think, as much as I hate to say it, because you both are going to cry when I say it, I think we may be getting ball jars again soon.
Oh, I believe it. Baby's breath is crazy.
I'm giving you middle fingers under the table.
Baby's breath is.
Yeah.
So we do have the spin though, like the rustic elegant kind of is what I call it. And so they're ways of doing, you know, they still like the wood slab, but we do a lot of the cylinders and things like that. And
elevating it just a little bit.
Mixed bud vases, those kind of things. You can still do the baby's breath in them, but we aren't necessarily doing the mason jars kind of a thing. Yeah. But we do still. So my philosophy is with every girl that comes in with her
if
dream.
you like it.
It's her vision.
It
is your day.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. It is not. I've had my wedding. This is not my wedding. This is your wedding. This is nobody else's
I drink out of
wedding.
a mason jar every day. I'm not cracking mason jars.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I drink out of.
Yeah. So, you know, and we'll get girls in and moms, you know, some of them will just turn their noses up and I'm like, it's her day. You can't, you know, it's what they want. It's their vision. And nothing makes me happier than when I hear someone walk in and say, oh my gosh, this is so them.
Yeah.
Because it should be a reflection of the bride and
it
groom.
should be them.
And and I like to, like we've done a wedding before, the groom was a police officer. So I took little badges and hid them in like centerpieces and like
cute.
Like behind them in their gathers on their fabric. I had little tie backs that were little badges and stuff like that just for them to find. We've had one that was huge into Mickey Mouse. So we had Mickey Mouse stuck in little things, you know, that they just nobody knew about, but they knew and they found them and stuff. And so, yeah, we have some of those little things that we incorporate so people know. And like lately, I've had a lot of girls come in that are wanting to incorporate their horses. They have horses and they're like, I want to do, so that's kind of a new thing coming in. And there's some super cute little things that you can do with like little lassos and tie the napkins and things like that. So I'm all for
excited.
Yeah, I am. I'm so for something new and fun like that. I'm like, no, absolutely. I'm fine with that because I mean, again, and I tell them, so one day you guys are allowed to do whatever you want and nobody can tell you no because it's your day.
Yeah.
Well, it's like in the bridal show, you know, last spring, the one that we just did recently. I was like, let's do travel. And Jen's like, okay, yeah, I have these really cool suitcases. I'll dig them out of the warehouse and blow the dust off. And like we did, and we made it work, and it felt elegant.
Yeah,
and
it was fun.
Yeah,
it was cool.
It was
but
different.
We get a lot of brides that have that travel theme because they have been fortunate and their fiancés and them have taken like 1 million trips already. And so, you know, their table numbers were actually cards of where they'd been. And they're like, I want to travel, you know, I want to do a globe as our sign in and I want to do, you know, so it was totally worked.
Yeah, I don't think people are as scared of a theme per se, is not just wedding the theme as much as they used to be. Because you can still have a elegant wedding and incorporate a small theme. Which makes me happy because we love a good theme.
Yeah.
Celebrate everything at 19 Hawthorne Wedding and Event Venue. Centrally located in the heart of Northwest Ohio, 19 Hawthorne is the place to welcome family and friends as you celebrate life's most important moments. Our mission is to create sophisticated luxury in a timeless, natural setting. Our desire is to drive the creative spirit forward, creating an environment that guests will remember for years to come. When you and the people you love celebrate with us, together we establish unforgettable memories. Create the perfect day of joy and celebration. Learn more at 19hawthorne.com. So when it comes to keeping everything organized, I want to hear your secrets because I think brides in general deal with that issue a lot. Like they have the binder and they have all the things and you know, but like it's a lot to keep organized. You're obviously keeping 2 businesses organized, your household organized, 6 potential weddings a week, 4 to 6 weddings a week. And I know it's mass chaos. Like you're not gonna lie and say it is a perfect oiled machine. Like it is mass chaos.
Nope.
So from like one wedding tear down to the next wedding, like how do you stay organized and know that like, okay, all of these little things are going in this and they're labeled this, other than the fact that you have amazing containers and a great staff that does that?
Yeah. My husband would argue with you on
I'm sure he would.
on this one. I am the worst ADHD poster child ever. I bounce around and I have piles, and the girls at work were just giving me crap today. They were like, did you know
the organized piles?
Yeah, organized chaos.
We love us some piles.
How many times a day I say, it's organized chaos. I know exactly where it's at. So honestly, when it becomes prime wedding season, it is 1 week at a time. But the scary thing is, though, is you can ask me something about something coming up, and I can tell you. I do not know how, because I can.
She remembers everybody.
I
can call her up and be like, "Hey, this bride," and she's, "What's the name?" And she's, "Oh yeah, we're doing this, this, and this," without like.
You probably have a little bit of a photographic memory.
I must to.
Because I can forget when I'm talking to you right now. I can probably say and be like, what was I saying? But Dale was delivering flowers the other day to somebody, and she's like, oh, yeah, you did my wedding. So he gets in the car, and he calls me, and he says, do you remember so-and-so? I said, oh, yeah, she had like 32 people in the wedding, and it was this color, and it was all, and he's like, how do you remember that? And I'm like, I just do. I said, I remember, I can see her face. I know who she is. And so, yeah, that is the hard part. And I do tend to get things wrong every now and then when I'm telling him what to pull. But we manage. He usually grabs, if I tell him we need, the blue, he grabs like everything
all
of
the
blue that we have.
Have you taken Dale on a vacation recently?
I
think it's time.
He did say yesterday.
I think you owe him that.
He did say the other day, we need to go to Florida or somewhere. I said, well, it's our big anniversary this year. So I said, we have the week off, actually. So I said, no, we deserve to go somewhere. But
Book it now. Book it today.
Yeah.
So I know when me and you met, I was so impressed because you would go in, and you still do it. We still do weddings where you go in and you drape the entire thing. Obviously, we don't have to do that at 19 Hawthorne. That's not something that normally happens here because it's gorgeous. But
it's coming.
You go into.
I can feel it.
I know. You go into a lot of places, and I mean, you drape from ceiling to floor and everything in there.
Every
and
inch.
I was so impressed with that. But I know now we're moving more towards like the big installations. You guys here really like to do like the big installations. So like, what's that process? What's that budget? Like what does that entail?
So I try and stay as flexible as possible with brides. So what I tell them when they come in and sit down and they give me their vision and their ideas and everything. So I will start to compile like what I'm seeing, and then I will get them an estimate and like a vision board and with the pictures, and I will tell them, this is the grant, I'm going to quote it to you, the biggest and best that I think it could be. If you were my child, this is what I'm going to do. And then, and then if it's not in their budget, then we start going back. We'll scale it back. So, you may pick the biggest ceiling that's out there. Okay, well, then let's start taking a few arms of fabric off to get it in your budget. Okay. And I always tell everybody, it's still going to be beautiful. I'm not going to let it go on Facebook and look like crap. That's my name. So it's always going to be beautiful. Right. But it may not be on the biggest, grandest scale that we wanted it to be because it just doesn't work in their budget. I'm also realistic, and I've had 3 of my own kids get married, and I know how things can add up. So it's kind of like the person that tries to parent your kids that doesn't have kids once, So when you have kids, then you're like, oh, I'm not going to say that anymore. So once we had our own kids get married, I was like, dang, now I see why people hire me. Yeah. Because it is so much work to do the whole thing. You know, I have the easy job. Going in and setting up and going back and tearing it down, that's easy. The whole rest of that weekend, God, so much work. And so I try and keep it as flexible as possible. And I always tell everybody, give me the challenge. I actually love to take pencil to paper and sit there and try and work out, okay, where can we scale back here? How can we do this here? What can I do? And there are times when we get stuck. Because I'm also, it's also realistic. I've got to be able to do some, but I'm like, okay, this is the, minimum we can do and still, and it just always works out for everybody. But, there's so many ways to make it work because, like, say you're doing a canopied ceiling and you're doing, like, 8 arms of fabric. Well, let's do 6 arms of fabric because, that takes off, it's less labor, less material. Let's do 4 ways. It's still going to be pretty. It's still big, big chandelier in the center. Let's scale the chandelier down. There's just so many. Because we have so much to offer, there's options of things that I can do to help for everybody's budget.
Right, you're always able to give option 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, and I think people need to understand, especially about big weddings, is you don't need a fresh centerpiece on every table.
No.
And you don't necessarily need 3 things of glass with a floating candle on every table.
I have a couple different ways that I call it cheating the system. So especially in some of our bigger venues where we push like 2 banquet tables together. So my big thing is I put one centerpiece in the center of those 2 tables rather than one on each table. You kill 2 tables with one centerpiece. This saves money.
Right.
You know, and then my big push lately has been just because of being on the flower end of it now and knowing how much a bridesmaid's bouquet can run.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's use it as a centerpiece. And they kind of look at you like, what? And I'm like, I will put a cylinder on your table. When the girls come in, make sure they all know to go find it and pop this. You know, you've already paid that kind of money. It's a centerpiece in itself.
And a lot of people do that with their head tables.
Yeah.
Like, that's the decoration on the head
But
table.
I'm like,
Oh,
you know.
so that makes sense because there's so many times they've come to deliver the cake and there's the cylinders there.
Empty.
Yeah.
And it's for them to put.
Yeah, but I've been taking those off of there now and putting them as actual centerpieces. Why pay for another centerpiece when you have one already?
So smart.
And then, you know, because girls nowadays do not take the bouquet vase home.
Nope.
Yeah.
You know what I
They
mean?
get
Or the
pitched.
bouquet home. We used to take them home all the time.
Right.
That was the thing to do. Now they leave them, and then you hear mom at the end of the night crying because they're like, do you know how much this cost? What am I going to do, throw it away? So I'm
Right.
like, well, then let's dual purpose it. Then might as well
Yeah.
use it as a centerpiece. So you stretch the length of that, you know.
Right.
And it works great. And then a lot of times I've been seeing people are actually taking the bouquet home then afterwards. They're like, you know, the aunt that's sitting at that table, take that home.
Yeah.
Because the bridesmaid's not going to take it. So, you know,
Right.
so they've been taking it home. But that it saves you. And if you have 11 bridesmaids,
Yeah.
that's 11 centerpieces less that you need to buy.
That's legit.
So yeah, because you have to buy the
becoming
bouquet
more and
vase
more
either
trend.
way. So yeah,
And
we've
I
been
think,
doing that a lot.
I think as brides are getting more budget conscious just because everything is so expensive, I think we are going to see more and more things like that
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
I'm down for repurposing. Like, I love when ceremony flowers get brought in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
don't let it go to waste. Don't.
Yeah, and a parent will respect me even more when they know that I do have their best interest. You know what I mean? I'm
When
like,
you're not just trying to gouge. Yeah. For
and
sure.
I will be honest and practical. Like some of our weddings, they'll put humongous, you know, where you have to take down for a dance floor. They'll put these humongous centerpieces on, and they come down in an hour. And I'm like, don't waste your money on a big centerpiece there. It's going to go in the back room, and nobody's going to see it the rest of the night.
Right.
So just put something small and easy on it. It's still going to be pretty, but save your money. The things that stay out all night are where you want to put your money.
There you go.
You know, because, and especially like the head table and the backdrop, those are going to be in pictures 50
All
years
night.
from now.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the things that you want to be pretty, and your dance floor and whatever, you know, but the rest of it is like, don't.
So now we're going to get fun. If budget wasn't an option.
Oh, yes.
And you could do anything
I
that
am
you wanted
so
to
about
do.
that. That's my favorite question.
How would you decorate 19 Hawthorne?
So I would probably challenge myself to see how big of a centerpiece I could literally get on one of your round tables. It would at least be 6-7 feet tall. Like grand. I have pictures. I'm like ready. It would be. I do.
I mean, we've had a person build trees on tables.
Yes,
and they were amazing.
Oh yeah, I'm like so about just floral. Yeah, galore design. Yeah, and yeah, there would be. The ceiling would be amazing. We would have to do like a humongous fabric install. Fabric from side to side.
I'm patiently waiting.
I know.
Bride, if you're out there and
Yes.
your budget isn't an option, call Jen.
Yep. Yeah. One of my sons did a pergola and suspended his cake from it, and we did this big decorations and so it was so beautiful. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I would do the pergola and I would have that completely engulfed in flowers, and it would just be, you know, all around. Yeah.
I
it would
do
just-
think something that we're going to see, I'm seeing it trickle. Like I see it across seas and then California, and then obviously it comes here. But I do think we're going to see a return of, but in a new way, like the wedding party in a center of the room in some sort of cool,
Yeah.
whether it looks like a tent or a draping, and then the dance floor will be in another place, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the center focal point, just because when you create that big center focal point, you don't have to do a lot of other things, and you're already decorating for it anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and like one of the greatest things here is you don't. One of my consults for here goes so quickly because the place is so pretty on its own. You don't have to do a whole lot, but you're saving money as well because you don't need backdrops. You don't need a bunch of that stuff because you have it, you know. And so when a bride does do like a center wedding party table or something like that, I'm like, well, you just eliminated a massive price, you know, in not having a backdrop.
Right.
And some places don't necessarily need a ceiling, so you just saved a ton of money in your ceiling.
Right.
A lot of people get really scared of our fireplace. If you could decorate our fireplace, which you have now several times, what would What would you do? Something that is budget friendly but still gorgeous.
Well, you can always, so the fabric, like we did for the bridal show, that's probably the most economical thing you could do because, there's no real huge cost in the fabric.
And so different and so neat and so dramatic. Like, because you are so used to now just seeing like flowers up there, which is great. But like when people walk in and see something different, they're like, oh, like, that's fun. And it's cheaper.
Yeah, and it's going to be the focal point because if your bride and groom are in front of it, so I mean, why not draw the attention to it? But yeah, I think the fabric, that's probably one of the favorite things I've done there too. It just was, we made it up on the fly, standing there doing it. And
well, I also think it's so interesting because people are like, okay, it's a 15-foot fireplace with a 9-foot mantle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to pay for 9 feet of flowers. Okay, so then get one of your engagement pictures, print it out, which you're then going to hang in your home for a long time. Put that on one side of the mantle and only decorate half the mantle. Like, there's ways to save money and use it later. Which is makes total sense.
Absolutely.
Like, if you're going to spend the money on it, make it last in your house in your hallway.
Find things you can repurpose.
Yeah, I think people just get intimidated by our size sometimes, and it's like, it doesn't have to be. You can
honestly,
print engagement pictures on poster paper and hang them, like you guys, fill a room.
But you could drape a little. One of my second favorite one that I ever did was when I draped that fabric underneath it, kind of at the angle, and did that down. That was even pretty. And that you don't have to have a fortune wrapped up in that to do that either.
I think we're going to see this year, especially as budgets become more at play, instead of so much focus on centerpieces, I think we're going to see a lot of people like draping the walls with fabric just to add the pop of color. And then you'll see your very typical standard simple centerpiece, which I think we're getting to anyways. And then I think after that, we're going to do the 8-foot ones because that's always what happens.
We go
all the way down and then we go all the way up.
Yeah,
so trend-wise, because me and April love to see wedding trends, like what are you seeing slowly in your world coming down the pipeline?
The different type of draping behind. So, it used to be just a flat panel of fabric and a color and maybe something in front of it. Well, now they're like stepping it up and you're making movement and texture with the backdrop. So we're doing one this weekend actually, and she has like one of her swoops of fabric is going to match her head table in the toile, the blue toile, French toile. I'm so excited. And it's going to be so pretty.
Explain what that is for the viewer who doesn't know what that is.
It's like it reminds you of almost like a China pattern. It's got like the blue and white, and you see it sometimes. You mostly see it in the blue. But yeah, sometimes it can have birds, flowers, vining, but it just has a lot of movement and texture in it. And
I remember when I said that once and somebody was like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And so her fabric will match it. And then there's different shades of blue. And so, yeah, it'll have different, like, not just flat.
So kind of Bridgerton.
Yeah, kind of. And then the ceilings I've been trying to push more is to put color on your ceiling.
Ooh.
Like we all see the white and the ivory, but let's. And I got a couple last year that were pretty bold and let us do some brighter color, but it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
But we did one over in Putnam County, and we did just different shades of green, like big, long cheesecloth, and just draped it just randomly, which Dale is a solid counter. He can't do random, so I have to stand there and tell him, yes, he's like, I don't do random. It has to be 1, 3, and 5 or 2, 4. Yeah, he can't do it. But he does better than he says he does. But so, yeah, I just had to kind of usually have to get him, just kind of show him where, then swoop this one over here and then let's cross this over there and whatnot. And so those are kind of cool. So a lot more, not so uniform, a little more abstract, a little more free flowing. And just.
I'm gonna queue up April's question.
I know. I've been here waiting on it. Like, I've been waiting to be like.
So many people now do some sort of like photo backdrop, which is so much fun because they spend a lot of money making it happen, and then they have me put the cake like in front of our windows. I just want somebody just once without me having to say it. Like, let's put the cake in front of our photo, what they call the photo backdrop.
Yeah.
And then once the cake's cut, we'll move the cake.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it becomes your photo backdrop. You're killing two birds with one stone, and your beautiful cake that you spend a lot of money on
Has a great backdrop.
has a
when
great
you're cutting.
backdrop. So talk a little bit about some of the fun things that you're seeing with like cakes and all these fun things with cakes.
I love nothing more than to decorate a cake table. It is just
Because it doesn't
it's
happen
lo-
that often.
No, and it's a
Which-
lost. It gets lost.
Or
It-
even the dessert bar.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's so crazy when people spend $1,500 on this dessert bar for other people, and like, there's nothing on there but desserts. Like that's the
please
biggest.
put a flower on
the
there.
biggest thing that I push like is just something.
Yeah.
Something.
my favorite too, and it's a test to the quality of vendors that I work with, is I do not, very seldom do I talk to you beforehand, do we?
Yeah.
But yet we will meet and and it looks like we talked for 6 months.
Correct.
And it's
Yep.
so cool because it's like, how did we do that? You know? and I said,
I'll get a text that says, "You need flowers this weekend?" Yep. Okay. And I show up and there's flowers on the table and it's put on the cake and it just works out.
It usually just works, yeah. And so, I love to be able to do like just don't be afraid to do something different with your cake. I love the hoop. I used to, we used to do the hoop around all the time. I love flowers around the outside. One of my favorites right now is the flowers on the floor.
Yes.
On a high top table.
When you
do the
guys
high
get
top,
flowers that are like lining your ceremony aisle or at your reception, like
Well, and they
you're
can be
allowed-
used for the ceremony and then
Yeah.
brought in.
Yeah.
Exactly. Bring those in. Put
Yep.
them at the bottom of your cake. I'm begging somebody to put like behind your cake. Like
Yeah.
on the table, just put a wall little wall of flowers. Like anything like that takes your cake from amazing to just out of this world stunning.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool.
And no guest is going to judge you as a couple or a bride if you are moving something.
Oh, yeah,
If
no.
anything, they think you're genius.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
they're like, oh, they didn't have to pay for that twice, and they got to use it the whole night as opposed to just for 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we don't live in California. People here like people who are resourceful.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah,
judgment.
absolutely. Let's reuse it and repurpose it and, absolutely.
No judgment to the people. of California.
I want you to drape behind a wedding cake. Like I love the textures. I love and we use a lot of texture in our cake, and that's the fun part about it. So,
Well, when you put as much time and thought into the cake like
Yeah.
they have you do,
right,
it deserves to be highlighted. It deserves to, and I literally can put a backdrop behind you for a couple $100,
Right.
and it's beautiful and it serves a purpose.
and then you can turn it into your photo
then it can
backdrop at
be,
the end of
yeah,
the night.
exactly.
Like,
That's a trend.
so
We're
fun.
seeing it. It's going to come. It's
I like
coming.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, why does your photo backdrop always have to be in the back? Like, let it be in
Right.
the front.
Put
Let
it in the front.
because
Right.
eventually you dance up front anyway, so that
Right.
becomes the side. Like, it's okay
The
to have
closer
those
it
things.
is to that, the more it'll get used.
Right.
You know, because
And more
a lot of
people will look
don't-
at it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't necessarily think to walk. You know,
all the way back in the back. Yeah,
But if it's close by, you'll grab each other and run over and take a picture quick.
For sure.
In the moment. But
What is the best piece of advice that you have for a bride who's walking into a wedding? Obviously, hopefully, this is their first wedding and they haven't planned a bunch, and they're very nervous about decorating and the decorating process, and whether to hire a professional decorator or whether they're choosing to do it themselves. Like, what piece of advice can you give them?
I think they have to. I think you just have to ask yourself: Is it worth? Weigh the pros and cons of doing it yourself versus having someone do it. And if you're, some people are incredibly organized and are incredibly patient and paced and whatnot. And, I've seen girls come to them and they've got, this tub is marked table 1, table 2, table 3, and they just, not everybody can do that.
Right.
And sometimes, too, it's your family circumstances. If you're coming from a blended family and there's going to be issues and struggles, and, I always tell everybody, I do a lot of intercepting problems and things like that.
You take care of it. You take a lot of that off the table.
Yeah. And so, is it worth the stress and the things, and there's a lot of times I'll tell girls, blame it on me. Blame it on
Right.
me. If so-and-so is not, I just tell them I said, no, you can't do that.
My
and things like that.
favorite thing, and any piece of advice that I would give to a young couple that are getting engaged is if you have cool stuff in your house, and if you are a collector of things, like it's okay to incorporate that stuff
Absolutely.
into your wedding day, because then when people do walk in, they're going to be like, oh, this is so her
it's them.
or so him. Like we had a young bride who she collected books. And they used those books as part of their centerpieces. They put them on the gift table. Like she had people sign a book. So creative. We had another young girl who she loved houseplants. She had hundreds of houseplants in her house. So instead of, doing a whole bunch of floral, she did a little bit of floral, and then she highlighted that floral with her houseplants.
Yeah.
And literally she took them all back home and put them on their shelves, and they just kept growing.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's so genius. Yeah. Like you already have this stuff. You're decorating with it in your home. If it's beautiful and you like it at home, you're also going to like it on your wedding day. Like it's okay to reuse some of that stuff.
We get a lot of girls that'll be like, my grandma's really good at growing ferns. Can we use these ferns? Absolutely, bring them. We'll put them out. Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, it's okay to reuse some of that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Advice on, because we have a lot of people who do it here, and I know you have a lot of people that do it over your direction, on like the generations of love tables, the what I would call like the memory tables. Those don't always have to be a table.
No.
What are some cool ways that you've seen those displayed? Like I've even seen people bring in shelves. You've even brought in some shelves.
We have shelves. You can do ladders. The more unique, the cooler it is. So, I love when like kids for their sign-in books do like a bar top table, or it's a piece of wood that they're going to turn into, a coffee table, or something like that. Because let's face it, how many of us have sign-in books that are at the bottom of a chest and you'll never look at it ever? So if you can use it and make it cool. One of my favorite things, and I haven't seen it in forever, was they took an engagement photo and they blew it up in black and white, and it was a huge canvas, and they used that as their sign-in.
That's cute.
That was really cool, and then they hung that up and had it forever. Anything that you can incorporate.
Recently, I've seen, because game rooms are becoming more normal, I've seen people sign decks of cards, like a playing card, and then they took it to Hobby Lobby or wherever and got it framed, like all the cards, and that was like an art piece then
The cornhole
in their
boards.
game room. Yeah,
The cornhole boards crack
So
me up
fun.
because they love cornhole, and they have everybody sign them, and then they get them shellacked so they don't get ruined and whatnot. I think that's hilarious when they
and
do
it's like
those,
lives
but-
out in their man shed.
Yeah, why not?
All
Yeah.
right. So where can we find you on socials? Where are you at? How do we get a hold of you?
Facebook, Instagram. I believe I have Snapchat. I'm pretty sure I have both of the Snapchats. But yeah, Facebook is probably the easiest one to get me, and Instagram.
Or call your shop.
Call the shop.
Email,
Yes, you can call the
website.
shop, email, website. Yeah, if you just put in our name,
Joyous Occasions.
they
Yes.
come up because
And Leaf and Bloom.
they get pulled up quite a bit. Enough that if you Google me, it comes right up. So
Perfect.
But yeah, it's the easiest way to find us, and sometimes it's hard. Don't panic if I don't get back to you right away.
She's probably on a ladder or make in the flower cooler.
Well, and the bad thing is there's one of me. There's goods and there's bads. There is a huge amount of trust. So when we do a consult, we do more than just go through my pamphlet. We create a bond.
Yeah.
And trust and whatnot. And so I'm very particular about that. And so I don't just even though I have people that work for us, I don't necessarily maybe I'm a control freak, maybe when it comes to that, I don't know. But I like to handle all the interaction between the bride and that. So, and I tell everybody, when it is your day, when it is your week, you will be at the top of the list, but have respect for the girl that is that week. So, and I will get to you, I promise, but she deserves my devoted attention right now.
I'm
so
not
that we
answering your
don't-
call on Saturday when I
Yeah.
should be dealing with this person's
Well,
wedding.
and I
Correct.
think that bond that you mentioned is so important, because like every vendor that you meet with, you might not create that bond with. And they're not going to be mad if you don't create that bond with them, because they can book somebody that they do bond with if you choose not to book them. but also like you want to create that. And like not every person that you meet, you're going to be like, feel that instant connection, be like, oh, hi, like, you know, you two different brains sometimes just don't click. And that's okay.
It really is. But yeah, and so with that, and the great part about it is those, because I get to know them, and we are, you know, there's a closeness there. So then when it comes time to set up your wedding, if you are not there and I have to make an executive decision, I usually know that it will be okay, because I know you enough that I can be like, oh no, she's not going to like that, or yep, that's perfect, or oh, she's going to love this, you know, whatnot. So so if I let too many people start getting their hand, it can get messy.
For sure.
So like I said, so there's one of me, but you know, so I'm juggling 85 brides or more all on my, you know, and then that's not all the new inquiries that are coming in. So, and if I answer you, I lose you in the thread of all the new things that come on top.
Right.
So if I leave you highlighted, I know to go back and answer you on Monday when I finally can breathe and sit down and go through everything. So I tell her, I'm
Monday.
not, yes. So
Mondays are such an important day for wedding people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so at the end of every episode, we do speed fire questions about, it can be either your real wedding that you had or a dream wedding that you would love to have someday.
I think it should be if you guys do a vow renewal. If you guys did a vow renewal, because you're coming up on big.
And budget wasn't an option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where would you get married at? Where would you do your vow renewal at?
Or are you guys running
Savannah,
away?
Georgia.
Oh, love it. Wedding colors.
Probably the pastels,
Love
the mixture of like I'm
All the
into
different
that. Yeah,
pastels?
I'm into the purple and the blue and the pinks and all of that, all the vibrant colors. We get so many that just want to do just white.
Yeah.
So I like all the colors. So I think it would have to be colorful.
What is one fun thing that you would do on your special day, or that you have seen that you would like to copy?
Gosh,
It doesn't always have. It just has to have to be with decorating either.
I don't know. There's so many things that we see. At our own wedding, they dressed me up as a cow and put me in a back of a John Deere pedal tractor, and Dale pulled me around the wedding.
That's a new one. I
venue.
haven't heard that.
Yeah, because I collected cows, so someone thought it would be a great idea to dress me up.
Do you
as a
still
cow.
collect cows?
No, I do not.
I mean, it seems a little less horrible for the fact that you collected cows, but still. I was like,
I had a tail and a bell.
Listen,
I had
he
it
did
all.
that, and he's made up for it for the last how many years?
yeah, no wonder
She
he
took
says
his
yes,
barn.
dear.
It was
so
my
much.
it was my sister-in-law's. It was not. Yeah, it was my sister-in-law's. So
Most
yeah.
important part of the day, in your opinion?
The first time you make eye contact.
Oh,
And I'm not for the first look.
Yeah.
But I just remember walking down the aisle and looking up and seeing him look me in the eye for the first time, and I lost it. But I remember and treasure it to this day. So yeah. And the whole eye contact thing through the whole thing. He's not a serious person. So then, when he said our vows, he looked me dead in the eyes, and I just couldn't. I couldn't.
lost
I couldn't keep it together.
And he's still in love. Just remember, boys, he gave up his 60 by 40 barn to store decoration. Thanks for listening to Celebrate at 19 Hawthorne, the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Join us next time.